Remembrance Parade was just a few weeks ago, and it was an amazing event. Really nice, really good turnout for all young people and adults. And after the parade, one of my scouts came up to me and he said, "Mark, when we're at the scout hall, you're so adamant that when we do falling in flag break, that the Union flag doesn't touch the floor. You've told us if it touches the floor, that flag must be burnt. So how come during parade, the flags were lowered and they touched the floor?" I didn't know what to say. I generally didn't know the answer, and I thought, actually, that's a really good question. So do you know what? I've dived into it and I have found an answer. And maybe like yourself, you've never thought about it until right now. And I'm going to show you the difference between why you're allowed to touch the ground with a flag and why you're not. The answer is two different flags. One is a flag pole and the other one is when it's marched. Right. Let me pick up my notes and I'm going to read something for you. Whilst at the halt, the flag may be carried in the holder and can be gathered or flying free. This typically occurs during a period of inspection when the national anthem has been played or for a 2-minute silence. On occasions when the Scout Association is parading on its own, such as St. George's Day Parade at Windsor Castle, flags are only lowered during the national anthem or when a king or queen are in presence. Now, this changes when we're parading with other organizations such as the Royal British Legion, the Army, and it's important to use our common sense and follow what they want us to do. So Remembrance Parade, we follow the Royal British Legion, and a few years ago I was lucky enough to be asked to be the standard bearer for them. Thankfully, I had two really experienced ex-army vets next to me. They were part of the Royal British Legion parade marshals, and I just followed them. I didn't really know what I was doing, but when they lowered the flag, I dropped the flag. When they picked it up, I picked it up, and that's what we do. And that's what we should be doing in international things as well. If we're going to an international ceremony, we follow what that hosting country does. We just copy what they are doing. If flags are instructed to be lowered, as a mark of respect, the pole should be held under their right arm while lowering it until the top of the pole touches the ground. However, if the ground is wet or muddy, we lower the flagpole just before the flag touches the ground. In a nutshell, when we drop the flag, we're essentially saluting with it. After researching and reading PLR and going in the Royal British Legion, and there is a government website about parading with flags, how you put those flags out on flagpoles, on buildings, on cars. If people are talking, the flag goes on the right side. If you're putting a flag on the car, it goes on the right side of the windscreen. There's a whole lot of etiquette that we must follow. And interestingly, you're not allowed to use a national flag for a table cover or seat covers. That is shown as disrespecting the flag. Another fact that I found out, when I started scouting 16, 17 years ago, the scout leader, the skip who I was kind of following, who was mentoring me, told me that when the Union flag drops to the floor, it must be burnt. It's a sign of disrespect and we have to burn that flag and get rid of it. Well, that turns out to be a bit of an urban myth. Now, there's another rumor, not to be burnt, but you bury that flag in the ground. Another urban myth. One of the regulations that they like you to do is if a flag gets tatty or dirty, you don't use it. You either get it clean, dry clean, or you store it away nicely. But the urban myth of if a flag touches the floor, it must be burnt, is exactly that. An urban myth. It's not true. It's not in any regulations. So just to round this up, to stop the confusion, because I was so confused of something I never even thought about until this scout asked me. There's two types of flags. There's a flag that's flown on a mast, on a flagpole. If that touches the floor, that is a sign of disrespect. So if a flag is flown on a mast, or like in the scout hall, and it touches the floor, that is a sign of disrespect. It doesn't need to be burnt. But if you're carrying a flag, if you're a standard bearer, as they call it, touching the flag on the floor is a sign of respect and a salute. So there we are, scout leaders. I hope that has answered the question that you might never have thought about. But if you do get asked that now, you know the answer. See you next time here on Big Man in the Woods.